Well, hi again. Last time we had got the budget line formula, and basically it connects the leisure to the income. In the end, the budget line is shows while the utility curve shows for hypothetical um, uh, leisure and income amounts, which we don't know whether our agent is able to get. How much utility our individual will get if he were to have that amount of leisure and um, and the income. We see in the budget line how much income and leisure our agent can have together. So the maximum amount of income our agent can get is the Z non-labor market income plus the wage times the time he has from the subsistence work, which is in this case 96 plus 20. So the maximum amount of income is gained when our individual doesn't have any leisure time. Whenever our agent starts to have some leisure time, he will lose 6 units of income per leisure time he uses. In that sense, actually, I mean, the wage is in this case hourly wage, and 20 is the daily income, which might be expressed in dollars. So this is the budget line shows potential possible income and leisure combinations of our individual basically for given subsistence level and wage level and non-labor market income level. Combining the budget line and the indifference curve map of an individual, we can find whether our individual will work or not. We can also find how many hours he or she will work if he or she decides to work. But that's what we will see in the next week. And in addition to that, in this week we will also see, we will also assume that our individual is able to work as little as he wants. He can even work 1 minute if he wants. He doesn't need to work at least at a minimum amount like of an hour or 8 hours basically per day. So let's connect them budget line and indifference curve and see how our individual gives his decision to work. So this is the budget line. You can see budget line here. Without indifference curves. Basically, if the leisure amount is maximum possible amount, then the income is equal to, in this case, V. In our case, it was Z. That's what the book has called that income, and the less leisure it has, the more income our individual have, and the addition of the income is W times L, the leisure that is the leisure that is lost, the leisure that is not used is actually given to them. Is actually lead to an income. So in a way, the total income we could have is this amount, which we can calculate, and the actual income our individual has is total income minus the wage times the leisure our individual has, and when our individual has the maximum amount of leisure, then the income will be equal to Z. So the slope of our budget line is minus delta y over delta L. It shows how much income changes per unit leisure time, that is per unit increase in the leisure time. So how much income will decrease when we increase our leisure time by 1 unit, which is equal to the wage. We are losing an hourly wage we are able to earn per an hour, increase our leisure time an hour. So, decision to work or not decision to work. Basically, our individual will decide to work if working at least an hour gives our individual more utility compared with not working at all, spending all his or her time per leisure. Note that our individual doesn't get any utility from work. He only will get, or she will get only utility from the income. So now this is what we are looking. This is B. At B is the point when our individual is at when he or she is not working, and when he or she is not working, U2 will represent the utility curve our individual is on. So when our individual is not working, he or she is getting a utility which is equal to U2. Well, when our individual is working, he or she will move along this budget line. If moving from B to the left at any possible amount, any possible amount might be okay. If moving to the left from B a little bit will make us go above the U2, in that case we will decide to work. While because when we are working at least a little bit, for example an hour, we are getting to a point, which is this point, where we are above the U2. We are above the U2, which means we are able to, we are getting a utility level higher than U2. So since we are getting a utility level higher than U2, and U2 was representing the utility level when we were not working, by working we are able to get a higher utility level. So when we are able to get above U2, moving from B not work condition where we were not working, well, we are able to get above U2 if the slope of the budget line is higher than slope of U2 at B. So if the income, the wage we earn, is higher than the amount of income increase that should we have to compensate the lost leisure time to keep our indifference curve constant. So let's say at U2, when we are at B on U2, to compensate 1 hour loss in leisure time, we need $10. So if we decrease our leisure time by 1 hour, a $10 increase in income will compensate for us. If the wage we can earn is $30, in that case, the slope of the indifference curve will be smaller than the indifference curve will be flatter than the budget line. In that case, we will work, because work will give us at least working 1 hour. We don't know whether working more gives also enough compensation, but at least working 1 hour in that case will give us an income that is more than necessary to compensate our lost leisure time. So when we will not work if our budget line is, the slope of our budget line is less than slope of the indifference curve that intersects the point B. In that case, the wage we got is less than the wage the amount of income necessary to compensate the lost leisure time. For example, in order to compensate the lost leisure time, we might need $10, but the wage might be $5 per hour, basically. So this is basically it. This is how we decide to work or not to work. And since the slope is constant and U2 gets steeper and steeper, basically, working, we know if our individual decides to work, we know that if our individual doesn't want to work 1 hour, he or she definitely will not want to work 10 hours or 8 hours, because the amount of income, our average hourly income needed to compensate lost 10 hours is larger than amount of income necessary for compensate 1 hour of leisure lost. So when we decrease our leisure time only 1 hour, we need relatively little amount of income. But when we reduce our leisure time 1 hour more now, because leisure at the beginning was less, we need a higher income to compensate the second hour of leisure lost. So the income we need to compensate the first hour of leisure lost is the smallest. So if at the existing wage level, constant existing wage level, our individual doesn't work for 1 hour, he or she won't work for the second hour, for 2 hours certainly. And how many hours our individual will prefer to work? That's the question we will answer in the next week. So, what will happen if we increase wage? When we increase the wage, this curve will get flatter, and at a certain point, our curve will be steeper than the U2 curve at B. So it will, at this point, at the very point when our curve becomes steeper than the U2 at B, our individual will decide to work. So increasing wages in general in the economic system is likely to make more people to work. Of course, people will only work if it increases sufficiently, if it increases above a certain threshold point at which the budget line becomes steeper than the utility curve. And that threshold, I remember I have told you the wage should compensate the first leisure hour lost. The wage that actually is just compensating this leisure hour lost, first leisure hour lost. It will just make an individual to work. If you just get this wage, then the individual will decide to work, and if the wage is higher, he will certainly work. So that threshold wage, an individual will start working or will decide to work, this minimum wage at which individual will decide to work, is called in labor economics reservation wage. So if the wage level is below the reservation wage of an individual, that person won't work. If the wage level is above the reservation wage of an individual, that individual will start to work. Reservation wage of different individuals can be different depending on their preferences and maybe also their non-labor market income, which they are able to earn. Okay. What about non-labor market income? Well, as you increase the non-labor market income, basically you move to an upper integrals curve, which is flatter. Since you have more income, the income becomes less valuable. So you will need a higher level of income, because this is less valuable, higher level of income to compensate an hourly leisure time lost. I will talk more on this in the next part. See you in the next part.